Hey guys, Zelonius here. Welcome to another video on the channel. In this video, we are going to talk quite in depth about custom tactics and how important do I think they are. So, there's a few different facets to this, and a lot of it will honestly depend on what level of player you are. If you do like these type of videos in terms of where I go in depth about custom tactics, I share lots of videos where I actually show my custom tactics that you guys can use. You like me talking about the best players, player reviews, looking at the latest promos, and just general in-depth discussions about the game and what's going on. Please do consider subscribing to the channel. Every day I'm posting at least one video a day, trying to help you guys get better at the game. So, custom tactics. I honestly think at times people do put too much emphasis onto these. What I would say is that it's quite easy to get your custom tactics just to a solid point where they work okay. It's also quite easy to just go stupid with the custom tactics. I think at the higher level, most people will have a generally decent understanding of how custom tactics work. They won't be doing some of the dumb things that just don't work. So, like, if you started on 100 depth in every single formation or one depth, you're going to have issues there where it's like, okay, your team are just pressing way too high, you're going to leave too many gaps. If you've got one depth, you're just going to invite way too much pressure. Occasionally I've coached people who are using constant pressure every minute, and then at half time the team's knackered and they're asking me, why is this happening? Honestly, you might think that's not true, but I have had that a few times already this FIFA. Some things contradict each other as well and don't work. So if you have drop back and 100 depth, that wouldn't really make sense. Where some things contradict each other but do work, so slow build up and forward runs, they kind of allow you to. Are you sick to death of getting out teamed on FC24? Want that God squad you've always been dreaming of? Check out IGGM.com today, the best and most reliable place to get coins for your ultimate team. Use the link in the description and code ZEL at checkout for a 5% discount. Check out IGGM.com today. Have some options where your players actually come short, but also, wait a second, is that the, yeah, it is that slow build up before runs, you can do that. And then they have it where you also make runs in behind. So there are some little tips and tricks that some people don't always realise that actually do work quite well when it comes to custom tactics. But I think there's also just a lot of myths with custom tactics that a lot of people over the years have started to believe or don't really fully understand. One thing about depth that a lot of people don't understand is they think, and I understand why people would expect this, a lot of people probably just think depth when it comes to it is how high your line is. It is a little bit, but it's more about how high your team will actually press. So the higher the depth, the higher the press. And this year, of course, we've got this crazy stuff where players press automatically almost to do offside traps when you go 71 depth or higher. A bit weird. Corners, free kicks, doesn't matter too much for the most part. The key, though, and what probably one of the most important areas to start with when it comes to custom tactics is formation. I'm not going to go into too much depth about this here because I've done a video literally earlier today where I do this, so I would recommend checking that one out if you're interested in what I think about formations, which ones are the best, and a bit more in-depth knowledge about. But there are some key areas to formations that I would be checking out. So one thing I would say is that there are certain formations which are just going to limit you from position one. A lot of formations don't work as well until later in the year. Certain formations require higher level players. So one thing I've mentioned in one of my recent videos, the 3-5-2. The left mid and right mid here, for this formation to really succeed, need to be fast, have work rates where they can defend and attack, and be very good defensively and very good going forward. They're really key in this formation. Whereas a 4-4-2, your wingers don't really need to be as good at defending. 4-4-2 is going to have a fullback covering them. Whereas at this point in the game, there just isn't really many players who can defend, attack, good work rates. I've tried this formation this year and it's great going forward, but when you might have like a Son at left mid who's not got any defending stats, he's got medium defensive work rate, so he'll defend a bit. He might defend a little bit, but then going forwards, he's great. But then defensively, they just switch off and you have no one covering the wings, so it just screws. So knowledge of formations, the state of the game at this point, what works, that is important when it comes to custom tactics, in my opinion. Instructions. These are very important, and it's important in my opinion. This is probably where most of the when you watch a YouTube video and you get custom tactics, don't just copy these like a robot and not even listen to the explanations. I've had lots of comments on videos where it's just so obvious to me that someone's not watched the video properly. They've just skipped through, paused, copied the instructions, and they've not taken any note on what they're actually doing. Don't do this. I'm not just saying this so you watch the videos in depth. I'm saying it so you actually get more out of the videos. And it'll be on other people's videos. People do this as well. People just want a plug and play custom tactic that just does it everything for them. And sure, if you go to someone reliable with good custom tactics, I'd like to think such as myself, then you are going to have a decent platform to build from. Most people, content creators who know custom tactics in the game well, will generally not overcomplicate custom tactics. I think I see some crazy ones, especially on Twitter, where people are just trying too hard to make their custom tactics stand out and seem different and doing crazy stuff. And honestly, most of those ones I think are just going to be awful, probably not very good. And they're just waffling and trying to make it out. Most of my custom tactics are very simple. I go balanced direct passing a lot. I don't go crazy on the width or depth. When I'm going more aggressive, I up the press, I up the depth. They make logical sense. But when it comes to the instructions, this is where you really need to listen, because these aren't always as self-explanatory. And an instruction in a particular part might be where the key to the formation is and what really makes it work. So a great example of that's the 4-3-2-1. The 4-3-2-1 defending like a 4-4-2. Wow, just seen a great header from Spurs there. I've got Spurs Man City on the other monitor. Unreal header from Kulusevski there. Don't know if anyone else is watching that. Sorry if we've just got a spoiler and you're watching the highlights there today. What was I saying? Lost my train of thought. Yeah, in the 4-3-2-1, the way that lines up defensively as a 4-4-2, it's really important you get the instructions right. Some formations really will fall down in custom tactics if you don't have the instructions right, or you play in game and don't actually understand how they work. So listen to the videos. In general, I would also say custom tactics, you can tweak them a little bit for your team. A lot of people don't tweak them enough. If, in my opinion, if you just copy a video and have no knowledge of how it actually works, you are going to be holding yourself back. The other thing as well is custom tactics aren't going to take you from like a 10-win player to a 20-win player. I could get with pretty much any custom tactic or formation, within reason, bar like constant pressure and just having no stamina at half time. I could probably get 16 wins using any formation in the game, and as long as it's not a crazy custom tactic that's clearly like kamikaze, probably do quite well. If you take someone who can barely qualify for weekend league, it's not like there's a perfect tactic that's going to get them 20 wins. People need to realise this. Another thing I would say is important is learning a formation and the patterns of play. So when you play in a particular way, this is going to make a big difference in allowing you to be able to know, or when you play a lot with a formation, this is going to make a big difference in your patterns of play. And by this, I mean, the formations I've played with a lot, I almost don't have to use the radar, almost don't have to look up. I can tell you or know where that at this point of the game, my player's going to be there. A lot of people don't have particular patterns of play. They're not consistent because they lose a couple of games, they change the formation, they change the custom tactics. If you don't consistently use some of these formations and custom tactics, you're not going to know where your players are going to be. You're not going to be playing consistently. So stick with a formation, custom tactic for at least a week. Learn the patterns of play. Know when you've got it with your left centre mid, okay, the lamb's going to be in this position. I score goals that are quite consistent because I know if I play in this particular way, my lamb might always be there for a trivella, a finesse, things like that. These type of things are where the finer nuances where you can start to get more wins, start to do some pretty good stuff that a lot of people don't even realise are a thing. So, yeah, it's not just about custom tactics. It's about you, the player, getting more consistent. There's a lot more to it. If you've got any particular questions you want me to answer or you don't think I've explained this video, do let me know. Appreciate you guys watching as always. Keep it spicy. I will see you guys at the next one. Peace.